we didn't expect in our lives that we had to overcome. We all have something in our lives that we love, that we can't do without, but we have to keep persevering through that. Those are universal themes in that story, but the specifics of him having a talk show and what it looks like to have issues. Those, survive and thrive. It makes your brain go, whoa, that's information I need to keep. But information of, we had issues and we overcame them, and now everything's great. Well, I don't need that information for my life, right? So you're jettisoning that information. Thank you both. Thank you both so much. You can sit down. But I really recommend that exercise, and you can use it on any story that you have in your organization. Is to find that universal theme, because you will find whoever it is you're talking to has that they connect to, right? Okay, I'm looking at our one here. So now I want to share with you your next exercise, and this is also on your worksheet. This is a Pixar exercise from their 22 storytelling rules. Every story needs to have a flow, right? Especially when we tell our stories in a speech, when we tell our stories to our donors, when we tell a story in an email, and I'm going to show you even in a tweet, it needs to have a flow. The best flow is that 3-act, beginning, middle, and end, right? We've heard all of that, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, beginning, middle, end. So how do you find that for your story? It can be so challenging because we've all known, in conversation, we tell a story and it kind of comes to an end and you're kind of wrapping up and the other person picks up and goes, oh, well, this gentleman and I are telling your name, Patrick and I, we were discussing who lives in St. Petersburg, Russia. And so we were looking at pictures, and we're talking about his life there, and then I said, oh, my dad was the naval attaché in Stockholm, Sweden, so I know all about the white nights and having the sun up all day. And so that was the end of Patrick's story, was I had something to contribute. There's give and take, right? So stories end that way in conversation, but when you are in charge and you're driving that story, you need to find that beginning, middle, and end to it. And this is just a great way of doing this. And it can feel childish, but I'll encourage you to take your stories and run them through this format and see where they fit, because you'll find the highs of the story and the lows of the story. You'll find, ooh, I'm spending a lot of time in the exposition. Once upon a time, there was a little girl sitting on the linoleum floor. Every day she watched TV while her mom cleaned other people's houses. One day she saw a black man with a white tie on the TV get an award. Because of that, she dreamed a bigger dream until finally she got that award too. Beginning, middle, and end. Right? Right there it is. And this helps me a lot because I, like all storytellers, we want to add that extra padding at the beginning of the story. We're explaining it all. Oh, now I've only got 3 seconds left. Okay, because of that, here's the important part, and I gotta go. Right? So this will help you find that flow and that structure. This is also a really fun exercise for your team. Asking them, because a lot of the challenges that we face as in nonprofits is the people out on the front lines have the stories, and we need to get them from them, but they don't always know what stories are good to tell. And so sometimes, I'm sure you've all had that experience where somebody told you a story and you were like, why did you tell me that? I needed that story, it's incredible. But they don't know how incredible it is. If you can share these 3 things with them, universal so we relate, specific so we care, and you can share this flow with them, encourage them to, just as an exercise, it's a fun team building exercise, say, okay, tell us about your week last week, or your day, or your experience with our constituents. tell us a story in this format, right? They really have fun doing this, of putting a story into this format. And it helps if you take one of your own stories and put it into that format for them. When they can find that flow, suddenly they'll start to see more stories. And when they can understand universal and specific, then they'll also start to say things like, his backpack was red. Like they'll get excited about, yeah, his mom drove a blue car. You know, they'll find these little specifics for you that will help you color in the story. One of the things that you can ask them when they share a story with you of something that happened is, well, why did you relate to that? Kind of as we did with Oprah. Well, what did you relate to about that? What was meaningful to you about that? And so then you'll be able to start finding that universal theme in it. So I want to show you this tweet here to show you the 3-act structure in the tweet. Now this is by Stephen King, so he is the master. I see you laughing, Patrick. So this is his tweet. I didn't used to watch The Price is Right, but then I turned 70 and discovered it's the law. Fabulous. Now, 3-act structure, act 1. Once upon a time, I didn't used to watch The Price is Right. But then I turned 70. Until finally I discovered it's the law. 3-act structure, the setup, the exposition, and then the realization, right? There's a transformation, a realization in every story. What I do with all of my stories is I treat them as an accordion, right? I take that once upon a time format, I can accordion it out to be a 20-minute keynote. I can bring it in to be an Instagram post. So you're looking for a way to be able to do that. And so if you have the bones of that story in that once upon a time format, if you have the universal, what's universal about this story, what's specific about this story, you can say, okay, today, a lot of times I give 4-hour seminars. Today I have a little under 45 minutes. That opening story, like that, right? I can take it out and make it more of a story, more engaging, and spend time breaking it down. But really, I just needed to give you a quick picture. Fairy Godmother Friday nights, drinking around the world, Saturday afternoon. So this young lady who came in and missed that story, so they told her she's in the All right, so I want to give you the takeaway tools here. So stories have power because they help us to survive and thrive. When you can figure out the position that you're in, what story you're telling, is this a survival story? Is this a thriving story? And you can figure out who your hearer is. What story are they needing to hear? Where are they at in their lives? You'll be able to make that connection point. My stories about my son, my stories about me at Disney World, surviving stories, thriving stories. Sometimes thriving stories, but honestly, any story about me and my job is a survival story. At Disney World, some of you know this, actors are on a year-to-year contract. They're up yearly. You're never guaranteed anything. So any experience that I had as an actor that was positive or negative had that, oh, yeah, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me? Feeling behind it. Because it was a constant, where am I at? Will I survive this year? So sometimes I reveal that when I'm sharing my stories, people to talk about where they're at in the survive or thrive. Sometimes it depends on the audience. We're gonna tell a fun fairy godmother story because it's a good icebreaker, right? But I can always dig down a layer and show someone a universal truth, a universal theme that they might connect to. The position of your target audience, where are they in that survive and thrive? Where are they on Maslow's hierarchy of needs? And your story mantra, universal so we relate, specific so we care. That's what's going to light up that part of your brain that says, ooh, this is about me surviving. I need this information so that I can thrive, so that I can survive. If there's a specific, like linoleum floor, now I'm in. I can see it. I can smell it. I can feel it. I can taste it. I can touch it. And your story flow. Find that flow, your beginning, middle, and end. Use that once upon a time flow to find that. We have a few minutes for questions, I think. So my question to you is, what's the most useful or valuable thing from today? What is that, sir? Is that the once upon a time?
Yeah, once upon a time.
Good.
It helps to format it for me. That's great. Yeah.
Great. Good. Someone else? Yes, Melissa.
I think for me, it's the story flow, but doing that exercise with the team, because we're all going to come up with different stories and the specificity of those stories, and then once we'll have a story bank that we can use.
Yes, a story bank. That's a great way of. I'm talking about kind of having a collection. We want a library of stories that you can use. Anyone else? What's most useful? Yes, ma'am.
It's like the remark you made about trying to help someone else survive. And sometimes in our areas of fundraising, you're really focusing on the thrive, helping someone thrive, but really it is, they're helping someone else survive, and that's impactful.
Yeah, that's great. And I always encourage, I want to encourage all of you, no matter where you are, because I have been in survival situations personally and thriving situations. So when you have a child that's diagnosed with something like autism, you are in survival mode, right? Mm-hmm. But why do I want him to survive? So that he can be a touch chocolate. That's thriving, right? Sleeping at night, not smearing feces and eating actual food, that's survival. We were in that for a long time. But if it's just to get him to a surviving level, that's not motivating enough for any of us, right? We do it because we can see a picture of something beyond us. So, Orlando Ballet and Second Harvest. We're not in competition for dollars, unless there's a big effect. But those stories are important. Don't think of your organization as, well, I don't really know if anybody. You give them a picture of what's next, right? When a mom helps a child get through cancer, get through a challenging diagnosis, she wants that child to be able to play baseball, with a violin, or to be in a play at the Orlando Rats, right? So there's a continuum there, and what keeps us going as individuals is that we can see a time when we can thrive. We need to have that picture, and that's what drives us to survive. Anyone else? Any questions that you all have? Yes, ma'am.
So with the but in the storyline that you're creating, if we are trying to tell a story with, like, let's say we're not selling an opera, we're selling our business itself, how would that go into thriving? Because, you're trying to tell a picture, but the picture's not quite there, you're selling the book of the picture.
Well, I'm having trouble kind of visualizing exactly what you're talking about. But if you're talking about a product or a service, or you're an entrepreneur with a business and you've got services, these same things apply. Your customer has a problem. Your customer has a problem, and you have the solution. And I would empower all of us as nonprofits to know that to be true as well. Our community has a problem, and we have a solution. Right? Our city has a problem, and we have a solution. As a service organization. So your your customer has a problem, you have that solution. So what is it that they need to thrive in their lives? And how do you solve that problem for them? How is your business the solution to that? What do they need to survive? And how are you that solution for them? Yes.
Is there a good balance between universal and specific in a story? Because I know sometimes we get into the weeds and then we get lost,
On
right?
either side.
Right.
On either side.